Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another night of Collegiate Hearthstone. I am Noah Dogan, and I'm joined by Chandyland, of course. We enter Week 5 tonight as Penn State takes on Drexel in the East. Then we move back to the West for UC Berkeley versus UC Irvine to close out our evening. How are you doing tonight, Chandy?
I'm doing great. How are you, Nomo?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Definitely excited to see some more Collegiate Hearthstone matches this week. Things are starting to get closer to the end of the season. There's a lot on the line here for a lot of the teams that we'll be playing, and especially in this first match, we've got Pennsylvania State versus Drexel University. Pennsylvania is 3-1 this season, and Drexel is 4-0 so far. So there's a lot on the
Wow.
line here for both of these teams.
Okay, so both teams have already performed really well during the season, right? And if I'm not mistaken, is it only 4 wins to qualify for the next stage?
I'm still not 100% sure. I think it should be.
Right. So both of
But
these teams are already well on their way to qualifying for the playoffs, right?
yeah, I
It's
think they're just
pretty
looking for better
awesome.
seating at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, so both these teams have already done really well. Excited to see how these two teams will do against each other tonight.
Yeah, same here. All right, so I think we're going to get ready to see our first game. It's going to be Dreticus versus the Word NA. Um, yeah, cool names here from both teams. We've got a lot of a lot of interesting names, but yeah, I definitely wonder what classes people are gonna bring. Probably a lot of the same stuff we've been seeing, like Druid, Secret Paladin, things along those lines. We'll see if any other
Right.
schools decide to stick with one strict strategy. Like we've seen some schools just play aggro, and some schools just play control and like not really play the other type of deck. So who knows what kind of strategies these guys will bring, but apparently they've both been doing well.
Right. Okay, so with that, I think we're about ready to jump into our first match.
Yep, Dreticus will be representing Pennsylvania State, and the word NA will be representing Drexel University. Looks like they're just deciding what decks they want to play. Personally, I'm always a fan of opening with Druid, but we'll see what these guys have brought to the table as we jump into game one.
So Dreticus is indeed opening with Druid here. Um, yeah, looks like the Living Roots version. Still haven't been seeing a lot of the Aspirants version. I've been favoring Living Roots myself lately, but I have been seeing some people actually kind of making a compromise and playing one Roots and one Darnassus.
Right. I mean, I've definitely seen a lot of lists with one Darnassus. I think it's fine to play one. I think it's fine to just cut both of them.
Right.
Some people still like to play two because you can get those explosive openings, but then again, sometimes it dies off. And wow, we see a Malagos.
All right. Malagos Warlock.
hmm Yeah, I assume it's very reminiscent of Purple's original Malilock with the dragons and stuff. Like we see in his hand. Soulfire, not exactly a good turn one play. But Dreticus looks like he's gonna play the Living Roots here. I mean, I definitely would. If I have it on turn one, very
Right.
rarely do I skip out on just making the 1/1s.
Right. Especially against Zoo, it's really, really good because you can take out any of their 2 drops.
Exactly. All right. The standard life tap on turn two isn't really going to tell Dreticus much here. But I think turn four, he'll start to figure out a
Straticus has
little
got
more.
that perfect curve growth into Shredder next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, looks really good. And he's got the Drake for the turn after and Coin Ancient of Lore for the turn after that.
Right.
All
So
right.
Warden's just gonna throw down the brand here and hope that to force a reaction out of Jedicus, I think. Otherwise he's not gonna get a lot of value off of it if it dies in the next turn or two.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that this brand could potentially make a Twilight Drake huge, and
Right.
Dreticus doesn't have a Keeper of the Grove.
Right.
And I doubt this. I don't think there's any way this brand is dying this turn. I mean, you
No.
don't really prioritize killing a brand.
Yeah. But so this should hint to Dreticus that this is some kind of control warlock, right? Actually, not true. A lot of people have actually been toying with Brandon's Zoo, so
Yep.
it's still not very indicative of what kind of deck it is.
Yeah, it could be anything still, I think.
Right. So if Dreticus plays out just the Shredder here, so he has a couple options. Actually, he can play any of the minions in his hand. But if he plays out the Drake here, I'm thinking it's probably going to get sniped off by Wordna. So it looks like he's actually going to be going for the Drake, looking for an answer to the 2-4.
All right.
It's
I
not
mean,
the greatest for his curve. I mean, he can still innervate out the lore next turn.
yeah, I might have preferred to just see the Ancient of Lore there or the Piloted Shredder. Like the Drake is interesting. It's kind of like, yeah, you get to cycle, and I'm kind of surprised the Wordnet passed up this Twilight Drake value, but I guess it makes sense with Fear of Keeper the Grove in mind.
Right.
But
So he's going for protecting his brand for another turn. Because actually, if Wordna can get his brand to survive to turn 5, he gets a 6 damage corruptor, which is pretty insane. It's like a free fireball.
yeah, that is ridiculous. I mean, it's already great if you get the 3 damage off, but 6 damage is just ridiculous. Yeah.
Right.
Dreticus still has a lot of options. He actually did draw the Keeper of the Grove, so that would have punished the Wordna if he went with that other play. So things paying off for him here by just playing the Guardian instead of the Drake. Dreticus might be thinking about just saving the Innervate for combo or something. Um, like it seems like he can fill in these next couple turns with other things. I'm just gonna silence off this Twilight Guardian. That way it can kill the brand. This seems fine to me. You keep the board pretty simple. You do use your keeper, obviously, but that's not too big of a deal. Now he
Right.
probably should have figured out that it's Mally Lock.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing you want to silence is usually Twilight Drake.
Right. I do think killing off the brand was a decent play here, though, because you are afraid of him getting a lot of value off of that.
Yeah, it definitely could have gotten tons of value.
So Dreticus's curve is actually a little bit awkward now. He doesn't really want to play the Shredder. Actually, the Shredder is actually not bad because it does contest the 5-4. If he goes for lore, it's probably also going to get killed off by the 5-4.
Yeah, both those plays look somewhat awkward, yes. Hmm. You could. Okay, he's gonna go with the Wild Growth and the Piloted Shredder. I guess just fill in his turn. He's got a lot of mana this
Right.
game. Still got that Innervate waiting in the wings.
I guess it means that Dreticus can potentially have lethal next turn if Wordnet doesn't have any taunt or healing.
Uh,
I'm not
if he
sure if this is the
kills,
line he's going for. Actually, he actually ramped up to 8 mana next turn, right? So it's not. Well, he can innervate out the combo.
but if the Warden kills off the Keeper, I think it'll be 1 damage off lethal
Right,
with
he just needs to
just
kill off the
Shredder.
keeper.
Yeah, so I assume he'll do that at least. I doubt he'll kill both the Shredder and the Keeper. Ooh, but will he tap and play a 4-drop? Now that's the
Right.
question.
He might not be suspicious. I mean, Dreticus has 3 cards in his hands. What are the odds that are 3 of them are the cards that he needs for lethal, right?
Yeah, usually you just hope for the best. I mean, sometimes you recognize, like, okay, Innervate combo is lethal here, but am I really going to play around that? And most of
Right.
the time you just say no, and then this is one of the scenarios where it could punish him if he ends up tapping. Now, since he's not
Okay.
tapping first, I assume he's not going to do it.
Right. Looks like he'll just play the Drake and probably just clear off the 2-4 here.
Yeah, wow,
This is really how to play. Playing
this
around the Innervate combo.
this is really smart. I mean, it makes sense. Look at his last turn. Dreticus played Wild Growth and Piloted Shredder. It's like kind of weird. I mean, sure, it's an
Right.
okay turn, but I don't know. His turns did seem kind of awkward up to this point. But wow, the The Living Roots is actually going to give him lethal damage here.
Wow. So yeah, the living roots makes up for that extra tap there, or the non-tap there. So the result is the same.
Man,
Dreticus is gonna have lethal.
that's gotta feel rough as the word now. Like you just played around this lethal and you looked like a genius in front of everybody, and then he just
And
draws
then
the Living Roots for lethal
Druid
damage.
doing Druid things.
Yeah, that is really rough. But that is going to be Dreticus taking the win. And I mean, that's part of why I like opening with Druid too. Even if you get in a bad situation or a bad matchup, you can just take the win like that. Usually it's like
Right.
a coin flip sometimes. But yeah, I mean, Dreticus did play for that kind of thing though. He saved his innervate for a long time. He had combo. He recognized that like, okay, later in the game I could draw double combo or I could draw all of this extra damage. And that's what he ended up doing and killing off his opponent. So yeah, I think that was well played by Dreticus. Even though he did, just kind of top deck what he needed, it seemed
Right.
like
It was a
he
good
definitely had a game
setup.
plan.
Yeah, and especially because you're usually not very suspicious of dying so early in the game, right? But because Jenica's hand happened to be exactly those three cards that he needed to set up lethal there.
Yep, for sure. All
All
right.
right, so
We're going to be getting ready for game two momentarily. This is a 1-0 lead for Pennsylvania State University. And we'll see if this series goes to 5 games or if it's going to be a quick 3-0. You never know these days. I mean,
all
we've
right.
seen a lot of both.
All right, looks like our players are getting ready here. And we'll jump right into our second match. So, we're going to be having Mosey on along from Pennsylvania State University versus Freyas from Drexel.
All right. Ooh, Warrior versus Warrior. All right, I see that Freyas' patron. Is Mosey also patron? Or what?
Yeah, I wonder, are we going to see a patron mirror here? Looks like Mosey is going to be control. I see a bash in his opening hand.
Yep, and a Harrison Jones. I think
All right.
those two cards definitely give it away, as well as the revenge. So this matchup, I think, definitely favors the control warrior.
Right. Typically, the way you win this as patron is you have to. There's a couple things you have to kill them before they armor out of your range. You have to hope they don't have brawl for your swarm turn, and if they do, then if you're suspicious of brawl, a lot of times you want to just use that patron board to gain draw advantage. So combo it with a battle rage.
Yeah, I think from the patron perspective, you definitely don't want to play this too slow. Um,
Right.
like
Because in your damage is limited with the new patron deck, right? It's not like we can make huge frothing berserkers anymore.
yeah, even then, I still think the matchup was bad, but
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I think the best chance for the patron deck though is just to make a big board of patrons as soon as possible and hope the control warrior doesn't have brawl. Like
Right.
it's not a great game, like you don't feel great about that game plan, but I think it is the best chance of winning a lot of the time because if it goes to late game, you just can't really beat the control warrior unless you've chipped away at their life total and you draw Grom for lethal at some point with 12 damage Grom combo or 14 sometimes. Uh,
Right.
Coin potted Shredder here on turn 3 from Freyas. Can't feel too good about Armor Smith lining up against an Acolyte of Pain. This is like exactly what you don't want to see, and the exact
Right.
reason why you usually don't play Armor Smith if you don't have a
Right.
weapon.
Right.
But
Typically, we don't want to play out the armor smith so early. And especially if it dies so easily to a weapon with no value.
Yeah, I mean,
But unfortunately for Freyas, he hasn't picked up a weapon of his own yet. He needs that weapon to get his patron started.
yeah, Death Spite would be a great draw. Um, Mosey on along, showing off his own Death Spite. He has one, and Reyes doesn't. He also has a Fiery War Axe. He's got all the weapons. A little bit of a improper sequencing there, I think. Should have attacked with the Acolyte first, but didn't get punished for it. No
Right.
Flame Tongue Totem or Direwolf Alpha or something. All right, Freyas does draw a Fiery War Axe now, but Mosey on along has already gotten a draw, so this is going to be a 2-draw Acolyte, which is about average. Not bad, not amazing, but pretty much just what you want. And he's got a lot of decent cards here. Big Game Hunter, not the best in the matchup, but Harrison Jones is pretty good. Sludge Belchers are okay. Unstable Ghoul, not exactly what you want, but
Right.
I mean, given
Interesting
the
that we
right.
see Mosey on along teching in both the Unstable Ghoul and the Revenge here in his Control Warrior.
Yeah, I like the Revenge. Sometimes I think even 2 Revenge is good, but yeah, Unstable Ghoul is definitely an interesting choice. We saw it a lot, like when the card first came out in Control Warrior, but ever
Right.
since then, not so much. Maybe there's a time in between where aggro was really popular and it was good for a little while again, but most of the
Right.
time you don't really see Unstable Ghoul these days in Control Warrior decks.
Right. I feel like even if you really wanted to run anti-aggro tech, I would still prefer 2 Revenge. Because Unstable Ghoul, it gives your opponent a chance to do things like silence or buffing their minions out of range of being killed by it. Doesn't seem too reliable in Control Warrior. But who knows? Maybe Mosey alone has done some testing with it and likes it better than the second Revenge.
Yeah, that is definitely possible. Freyas making some tough decisions here. As the rope ticks on down, he ends up playing his Acolyte of Pain and Unstable Ghoul, setting up a pretty annoying board for Mosey on along to deal with.
Alright, so now Phrase is going to try to get that draw value in with his Acolyte, forcing Mosey on along to kill his Ghoul before getting through the Acolyte. The problem though with this play that I see a little bit is that he's going to be gaining quite a bit of armor from this, so he won't be able to battle rage himself unless he happens to be able to hit a big target next turn.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but when he played the Armor Smith on turn 2, that kind of made it so that he wouldn't really take damage anyway for Battle Rage.
Right.
Just because Control Warrior usually doesn't really attack face all that often up front. But in a rage drawn now for Freyas off of that Acolyte of Pain. Bash was pretty solid there. Prevents a couple of draws from the Acolyte. Mosey on along deciding whether or not he wants to use his Death Spite now. Um,
So it looks like he is going to go for it. Doesn't have a way to clean up this Armor Smith right now. Or actually, he can, yeah, because it kills off his slime, right? So it's going to leave the Armor Smith at 1-1. Freyas actually is able to get his patrons train started here if he wants to. He could make 4 patrons.
yeah, I would have gone for it. I definitely
Yeah.
would have gone for it.
Looks like he's going to go for just the Shredder and weapon instead.
I don't think you get many better opportunities than that, where your opponent's board is empty. You have the chance to make 4 patrons. It looks like he's
Right.
just saving it to combo with Battle Rage, but
Right, but he's going to have to wait until turn 8 for that. So 2 more turns before he can pull off that combo.
yeah, and I think that's 2 more draws for your opponent to find Brawl.
Right, because we see Mosey on doesn't have a brawl right now. He doesn't have an answer to that if Freyas was about to spam patrons this turn.
Yeah, and I mean, in some cases he would, but
Oh, this actually gives. If Mosey on doesn't slam that summoner, Freyas can pull off the combo next turn.
yeah, so that's nice.
Yeah,
All planned, right? I mean, Freyas,
all part of the plan, and the summoner lives.
yeah, and now he can trade his Armor Smith and his weapon to be able to kill off
Yeah.
the Belcher after interaging his Grim Patron for the extra armor.
Alright. See if he gets the sequencing right. Yep. All part of the plan.
And now he's gonna get 3 draws off of Battle Rage, I think.
Right. Actually, yeah, right. 3 draws. He'll have 200 patrons and the injured pin size summoner.
Yeah, perfect. I mean,
That worked out. Shredder is a good card.
yeah, sometimes it's the little things in life that make you happiest, and Pint-sized Summoner is one of those things, I guess, at this moment. As the patron combo being played 1 turn earlier, still getting 3 draws off of the Battle Rage, and Freyas finds a little more stuff to work with here, and Mosey on Along doesn't have a brawl to deal with these. Now he can kill off a couple of them. He can actually kill off 3 if he really wants to, but I don't
Right.
think he can kill off all of them. So yeah, that's a big problem. I mean, if you can only kill off
Right.
3 Grim Patrons, you're not really getting yourself very far.
Right. This is kind of a problem because we see that Freyas actually does have more patron procs in his hand. He could potentially fill up his board again with another 4 patrons. It's really unfortunate for Mosey Long, but there's not much he can do in this situation.
Yeah. And if Brawl ends up being his next draw, I would just feel so bad because of that
Right.
pint-sized summoner coming out of the shredder, and then
Changed everything.
yeah. But we'll see if he decides to kill off this other patron with his execute. I mean, it saves you a little bit of HP, which I think is pretty important right now.
Right. Because Mosey on along is looking at taking another 8 here. He's already at 21. Yeah, so he's gonna go ahead and execute that 5/1.
Yep.
It must hurt. It must hurt a little bit. You don't really want to execute a 1 damage minion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one health minion.
But one thing that's for sure, when patron gets ahead, it's really good at staying ahead. I
He even
mean,
picks up the second patron here, so if these 2 patrons gets cleared, he has a backup plan next turn.
yep, I definitely like holding the second one. I don't think there's any reason to play it when you've already got this much pressure. He's probably going to attack with the weapon as well.
Right.
He could even slam one of these patrons for free to just spend the mana, get the cycle, draw one closer
Right.
to Grommash or something like that. I think it would be
Right. I
worth
like
it.
that way too.
Just because I don't think the armor's important for anything, but all right, he does decide to armor up. And doesn't look like Mosey. I mean, he has the revenge. Oh man, he's at 12.
Oh
It's 3
man,
damage.
didn't play around avenge.
Wow, and I wonder if he has a second one. Because if Freyas combos off this next turn, all right, Harrison Jones.
Oh, this is the start of the comeback from Mosey on along, and he's even picked up the Justicar.
All right, Freyas is gonna need something big this turn, I think. Frothing Berserker, not really what he's looking for.
So if he's gonna play out the Frolling this turn, he should play it first, right? If he's planning, I don't know if he was planning on slamming this Harrison, but he's okay. Just gonna go for the slam.
Yeah, I think it's fine to start with Slam. All right,
Okay.
and there's
Yeah.
one reason why, I guess, but
All right, we got that boom. Unfortunately, Mosey on all does have the BGH in hand as well as a lot of armor.
yeah, exactly. Man, and at this point, I mean, it was looking good for a little while there for Mr. Patron Warrior here, but Control Warrior showing its dominance in the matchup by
Right.
having all these comeback plays. I mean, it definitely looked really bad for Mosey, but making a good comeback as he's dealt with everything that Freyas had. That revenge was definitely clutch this game. So even though he didn't have the brawl, he got set to the perfect life total where he could use it. Now I wonder if anyone in that situation would have considered the revenge. There are probably some players who would have played around it, but it's just so weird to think about. I mean, a lot of control warriors are playing it, to be fair, so it's probably something you should consider. But then again, Freya's is like, okay, I want to set up lethal for next turn. There's all these other things that he has to factor in outside of that. So
Right. So Freya's does pick up the Grom here. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any more enrage procs left in his hand. He can do his best to clear off the board here, but still, moseying along is most likely going to be playing the Justicar next turn and armoring out of whatever damage Freya's could do. Alright, so it looks like he's just going to go for the Grom here.
yep, I think you got to play to win. This is your play to win. I hope it works out. I mean,
Right.
you've already seen a good amount of removal from Mosey, and all right, looks like Bash and Unstable Ghoul is kind like a way to indirectly clear the Grommash. And yeah, I think Bash was a pretty good draw there. He's gonna throw down the Elise Starseeker as well.
Right.
I think mainly just to get the 3/5 body on the board. You want to make sure you maintain board control at this point. Golden Monkey's cool and all. Getting that 3/5 out is really solid. And it looks like Freyas is just deciding to capitalize on his opponent's Unstable Ghoul by
Right.
throwing out a Patron and an Acolyte of Pain. Seems pretty solid.
Alright. So this is actually a pretty good play from Freyas, because Mosey on alone might not have a way to finish off these patrons, right? Well, he doesn't know that Freyas doesn't know that Mosey alone has the other weapon in hand.
Right.
But this was his other chance to come back. If he could happen to make a board of patrons that couldn't be cleared. But unfortunately these aren't going to stick.
Yep, he also has the option to execute, but I think Justicar Trueheart and Death Spite look good for this turn. You can leave the Acolyte of Pain up.
Right. Freyas actually probably doesn't have any more threats left in his deck.
Yeah, I mean, Frothing Berserkers, they probably won't do too much. I'm just trying to think of a way Freyas can get back into this, but Grommash is dead, Dr. Boom is dead. Both patrons have been killed off, along
Right.
with all of their friends that they brought.
Right. Everyone got in here, but it wasn't enough.
Yep, and everyone died.
It's so sad.
I mean, they just wanted to come in, get some drinks, start a brawl or something, and then they got killed by Garrosh.
Yeah.
Who also invited them to the party in the first place. I mean, that's really sad.
Right.
I don't know you. But anyways, we see Shield Slam drawn for Mosey on along. Sludge Belcher was drawn for Freyas and also put into play. But I think it's too little too late. He definitely had opportunities in this game to get ahead, but Mosey had a lot of good answers, as Control Warrior usually does, especially against a slower combo deck like Patron. But yeah, I think we're just going through the motions here. It's not over yet. I mean, Freyas could have something crazy that we might be forgetting about to get him back into this game. But the Justicar is going to come into play. The tank up is going to be used. And Mosey is sitting comfortably at 17 HP.
Maybe he has Golden Monkey.
You mean in the Patron Warrior deck?
Yeah. I've actually seen someone try that before. I don't know how well it works. I'm guessing it doesn't work very well.
Yeah,
But I think the idea is when you're in this position, what can you do? And that's what it's used for.
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely help against control decks. It makes your deck a little more inconsistent against other decks, but
Right.
who knows? I mean, Mosey still does have to kill Freyas. He's got a lot of HP, so still got a few more turns. Freyas has 6 cards left in his deck.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what else Freyas thinks he can draw here, though.
I mean,
Maybe his
this
plan is just to
Frothing
make a
Berserker.
huge Frothing. Yeah. Make this Frothing, like, unkillable.
Yep, he's probably going to need to draw another taunt. And then there's a chance. Right, could use Slam on the Frothing.
Right. He needs to find an answer to this Frothing. I mean, he's only used one Execute, right? He has more Executes, he has one Shield Slam, I think. I think he's used one of them, right?
Yeah, I think he's used Actually, I think he might have used both executes.
Uh,
Not 100% sure.
so what is his answer to this 4-4? He's also already uses BGH. There's the other shield slam.
All right,
And
perfect.
that should be game for Freys, unless he has something very unusual that we're not aware of in his deck.
Deathwing.
Yeah,
Off the top.
definitely.
Here we go. This turn. Here comes the Deathwing. And then Mosey doesn't have shield slams. He doesn't have big game hunter. How's he gonna deal with the Deathwing, huh? Battle Rage. Ooh.
He hasn't taken
Unfortunately,
any damage.
yeah, it's not gonna accomplish much here. Brawl also
Brawl a little bit late.
a dead draw.
Alright, Deathwing, I'm waiting for it.
Armor
Armor
Smith.
Smith is not the one.
Yep. Shield Maiden. Armor Smith's bigger sister is just gonna kill her off, I think. And the Golden Monkey.
The monkey has arrived.
Yep.
Alright. I still think one of the best games we saw in CSL this season was the Control Warrior mirror where we saw the double monkeys played. It's pretty great.
I agree. That probably was the one of the most entertaining games we've ever seen.
Right.
All right, not sure what Freys is looking for here. I mean, like I said, it could still just be the Deathwing, but just gonna execute off that 6-5. Might as well. Who knows? Maybe Mosey will disconnect and die to fatigue. Um,
Mahexna is not the card you're looking for when your opponent doesn't have any more minions.
yeah, not super effective as a 6 mana 2 attack card.
He's gonna destroy face. Loatheb.
Yeah, I saw the legendary border off the draw and I got excited for a second because you know when you see a card being drawn, you can see the legendary
Yeah.
like Dragon Wing. But
Trick the Pure.
Lotheb is not Deathwing, and even if it was, Adric could just put its attack down to 1. So I think Mosey's got all bases covered here. Every chance that Freyas might have of getting back into the game is slowly being removed.
Right, and he's actually about to start fatiguing.
Yep. Battle Rage finally gets to draw.
And that's not a Deathwing.
Yep, that is a Death's Bite, in fact, and I think that's going to mean death for Freyas, as these cards will not save him from the onslaught of legendaries that Mosey has.
Right. The pivotal turn there in that game was really the revenge turn, killing off the entire board of patrons, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty crucial.
Yeah, I think another important turn was where Freyas decided not to immediately combo off with patrons. Now,
Right.
it did actually kind of work out, but he
Right.
potentially
I
could
think
have had
it would have been too late if he had to wait until turn 8, right? If he hadn't
yeah,
gotten the lucky Shredder spawn.
yeah. All right, and Freyas is going to concede now.
All right.
And yeah, that's going to be a 2-0 lead for Pennsylvania now, isn't it?
All right.
This could be a pretty quick series, depending on what goes on. I mean, both Warrior decks are out of the way, so no more super slow games, I guess, unless someone brings out a slow Priest or a Freeze Mage. I guess those could potentially make the next few games slow. But I mean, I'm expecting
Right.
aggro. We could still see Shaman from both schools.
All right. I actually really like watching freeze mirrors. Is that weird?
I mean, I
I think
kind of
they're
like 'em
interesting.
sometimes.
Sometimes it's just like luck of the draw, but a lot of times, if you get to the point where you have to be very like calculating of like what damage to pop them at, how much damage you have left, it can be interesting. So when we see stuff like the self ping,
Yeah, I remember that play. Yeah, there's a lot of important things to consider in that matchup, and sometimes you have to make some really strange plays. And of course, another thing that you learn in that matchup is that you pretty much never attack into an opponent's secret
right?
because you'll you'll never get that damage. I mean, to take out an Ice Bear as a Freeze Mage against a Freeze Mage, it's just not going to happen. So that is a mistake that we've sometimes seen from people, but experienced
Right.
Freeze Mage players know not to do. All right, so the next game we're going to see is Frost Frostbitten from Pennsylvania State University versus Nintendo David from Drexel. The Drexel
Alright.
Dragoons are down here. 2 games. They need to get a comeback in this next game. I mean, they are 4-0 in the season. It's not like it's going to be a huge deal if they lose, but hey, I mean,
Right.
you still want to win all your games. It'd be pretty awesome to end the season with an undefeated record. And I mean,
Right.
considering things from last season, Pennsylvania was actually 5-0 in the fall.
Wow. It's really
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah, Drexel finished 4-1 in the fall, so
And so it looks like we're gonna have a Druid from Nintendo David and a Zoo from Frostbitten. Whoa, this is something unusual in Nintendo David's deck. Do you see that? Do you see the Sun Fury in Nintendo David's opening hand?
huh. Yep, that's definitely an interesting choice. Maybe he's playing Watcher Druid. I mean,
Yeah, or maybe just some extra anti-aggro tech. I have been seeing so the Ancient of Lore has actually been making its way back in a lot of Druid lists. Even not straight ramp Druids. Even people just throwing it in combo Druid as like an extra protection.
yeah, just as a one of. I mean,
Right.
definitely seen some people do that. Seems
Looks
like a
like Nintendo was just gonna throw it out here to contest the Flame Imp.
yeah, and I mean that's what you gotta do. You can't just sit there and take all of the damage. I mean, you
Right.
gotta use what you can, and
I mean, and you can iterate out the Druid of the Claw this turn, so it's definitely fine. I think. Contest the Imp Gang boss well too, because even if Frostbitten has to PO it,
yep. And I don't know why this big game hunter says it costs 0 mana, but I'm pretty sure big game hunter still costs 3 mana. I don't think it got buffed or anything, but right now it says it costs 0.
0 mana BGH nerf.
I mean, maybe Nintendo David has like some secret kind of BGHs that no one else in the community knows about. So
Right. Alright, so we're gonna see the double Imp Gang bosses here. Unfortunately, we have a dead turn on Nintendo David's side, but he can choose to clear off one of these Imp Gang bosses if he chooses to.
yeah, I would definitely consider playing the BGH just because you don't really want to skip a turn against Zoo as Druid, especially when
Right.
you have a Doctor Boom in your hand. You've got a force. You just want to survive. I
Alright.
mean, you're worried about something like Sea Giant or something like Mal'Ganis, but I mean, I think it's better to just fill in your turn with something that's suboptimal rather than to skip a whole turn.
Yeah, I think that's fine too. I think he would really like to have seen even even a swipe here would have been better, because eventually Frostbite is going to get a bunch of 1/1s. And it's not exactly ideal to play BGH into it, but again, on this board right now, the BGH does contest the other Imp Gang boss.
Yep. But we are just going to see an attack, Hero Power from Nintendo David to take out the 1/1. I mean, I can respect that play. We'll see how it plays out from here. He's definitely looking to draw a 5-drop or something the next turn. I mean, I guess something he could be thinking about here as well is if he doesn't draw another play, potentially the next turn he could play BGH and Hero Power again to clean up the
Right,
second imp completely.
right. So this is the Implosion is a pretty good pickup for Frostbitten. If Nintendo David just uses his Druid of the Claw to attack into the 1/3 here, then Frostbitten has a pretty good chance of killing it off with just the Implosion. If he gets really unlucky, he probably has to sack the Flame Imp too.
Yeah, that could be really bad.
2 Plosions, bane of your existence.
Man, I think with this hand though, I think you definitely need to play the big game hunter just because you've got so much stuff that costs a lot.
Yeah,
You
it's
just want to
actually a
survive.
really unfortunate draw for Nintendo David. There is like Maybe only three unplayable cards in his deck, and he drew another one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty bad, but I think it would be kind of greedy to skip out on the BGH. Hmm. But that's just me. Like this Flame Imp can just clear his board now by killing off the Druid of the Claw. Frostbitten can play a Loatheb or a Doomguard. I mean, I doubt you play the Doomguard at this point. Loatheb seems all right.
Yeah,
And you know what? With the Loatheb, it's gonna make his next turn like nothing unless he draws something
right.
to play.
It's really unfortunate. And I like the load up here also because you're thinking about so Druid's turn 6 is usually Emperor and it contests the Emperor well. And that's actually is that a Wailing Soul?
Yep, it is indeed a Wailing Soul.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure this is the Watcher Druid with
So it
the
is actually Washer Druid, but he has cards, unfortunately.
yeah, I think it's probably it could be that version that plays the 7/7.
Right.
I forget what that card is called, but yeah, I've seen that being played a little bit before. Not really. It seems kind of like a tier 2 or tier 3 deck, but
I feel like
watch.
it sounds so cheesy, or it looks so cheesy, but when you get wrecked by it, it's like, well, it's like if it happens to work out, then it's great, right? I have this 7/7 for 4 mana, but I mean, if your draws don't work out, then you have a bunch of useless cards that need activators.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still pretty decent against aggro
Yeah.
because if you can get up an Ancient Watcher and taunt it pretty early on, it doesn't even have to be like turn 3 or anything. It can just be
Right.
reasonably early.
Right. So the nice thing about that is so you can like start off with taunts to secure the early game, and then you can silence them later so they can attack.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it does give you some flexibility for sure. And I'm just trying to remember the name of this card. I've rarely
I
ever
know what you're
played
talking
with.
about too, but I can't remember its name. I feel like is it silent something?
I'm not. I don't think so.
Eerie Statue is the name.
Ah, Eerie Statue.
Eerie Statue.
And it
Not a
is
card
pretty
we see
eerie.
very often, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it in Nintendo David's deck right now.
Yeah, and I mean he's got Fell Reaver, so I guess that also kind of fits the theme. But
Yeah, just like a really unfortunate series of draws for Nintendo David.
mhm.
Unable to
And
do anything for the first 5 turns of this game, and then on turn 6, even below the to rub in the salt.
yeah, I mean I think he's still getting a little bit punished for not playing that big game hunter. Like his hand still is super clunky.
Right.
He's not gonna be able to play everything. Like I think you have to play Dr. Boom at this point. That's your best chance of getting back on board. But I mean, if he does that, he might just end up dying. But I think it's a risk you have to take now.
Right. I don't really see a way back for Nintendo David in this game.
Yeah, I mean, this might just be lethal. 11. Yeah, I'm
Right.
pretty sure it's lethal.
Yeah.
8, 10, 13.
Frostbite's got 7 damage from hand.
Exact damage.
That is gonna be a quick 3-0 for Penn State.
Yeah, wow. I mean,
That was really unfortunate for Nintendo David. Got a feel for him. I mean, he
yeah,
brought an interesting deck, but didn't even get to show it.
right. And I did harp on him a little bit about the BGH thing, but at
Right.
the end of the day, that probably wouldn't have mattered that game. Like,
Right.
Frostbitten just had a standard old Zoo draw. Like, that's the kind of draw. I mean, it wasn't anything special, but that's what Zoo does. It's very consistent, gets those efficient minions out early and pummels you down. Uh,
Right.
and Druid is a little bit inconsistent when you don't get your ramp. I mean, you draw your top end. Like that was pretty unfortunate. I would agree. But yeah, that's going to mess up Drexel University's perfect record this season. They're now going to be 4-1, and Pennsylvania is going to move up to 4-1. So definitely congrats to them for that 3-0.
All right.
Well played by them. Before we go to a quick break here, I would like to mention A thank you to our sponsors, Twitch for featuring our matches weekly, and of course just sponsoring us. We're proud to be affiliated with the largest gaming stream provider in the world. We'd also like to thank Asus ROG. Asus is the presenting sponsor of the CSL this year. Asus makes some of the world's best gaming PCs, laptops, and monitors. And Asus is funding this season's travel to DreamHack and our prize pool for the year. So be sure to follow their social medias like at Asus_ROG and thank them for sponsoring the CSL. And with that, I think we're going to jump to a quick break before we see University of California, Berkeley, the Golden Fur Grizzlies, take on the University of California, Irvine Hearthstone team. We'll be right back.
All right.
Shout it out, are we all just chasing clouds? At the front